Okay, guys, we have a little pocket dictionary here. Of course, not with computers and notepads and everything. Nobody really carries a dictionary anymore, but I'm a little bit old-fashioned. Carol, I'm going to hand you this. I want you to slide this card anywhere you want. And anywhere you go, you're going to get a different page, okay? So just find the page by sliding that card in anywhere you want. And then open up the dictionary to that page and give me the card back. Well, keep the card. Look at the 2 pages and just pick a word, any word you want from within those 2 pages.
Okay.
Have you done that?
Yes.
Okay, not too long, not too short, just a good word. You got one?
Yes.
Okay, close it up. Okay, and take the card. Where's the card?
Oh.
It's still in here? Okay. Oh, was it still on the page?
Yes.
Oh, pick a different one now because I saw the page. I'm sorry, I should have told you to take the card out after you got the page. Even though she could have chosen any word on the page, I want to be as fair as possible. Okay, you got one now? Okay, and what I'd like you to do is, on this card, don't let anybody see, okay? Watch out for Diago next to you. Don't let him see. Print the word on that line, and I'm going to just turn away so I can't see that happening. Done? Done. Okay, and turn it face down. Okay, now you notice, and I'm not trying to see anything here, the first time she went like near the beginning, but the second time she went, I don't know, somewhere around there, would you say? Okay, so what's in the middle? M's, N's, something like that? And there's no cameras around to try to see behind you or anything. Let me just think of your word. It's a long word. Did you have to pick a long word? Did you? Well, that's a good start. Intimidate. I actually misspelled something here, but look what I wrote down. Intimidate is what I wrote down.
Well, of everything we've done, at least in this set, this is my favorite.
You like this one?
I do. Sid Lorraine was the creator. It's 40,000 words.
I don't know how many times I've over the years I've read this one and never made it up. And I made it up over a year ago and been using it, and so we finally get a chance to record it. Actually, you know, it's called 40,000 words, but actually this dictionary only has 35,000 entries, so it's not really representative.
Well, we're on a time budget.
Yeah, okay. The effect, well, you saw the effect, so let me explain how it works. This is a normal dictionary, and I give the person a business card, just say slide it in anywhere you want.
All right.
And so in you go.
Okay.
And so then I say open it up to that page. You can put the card aside for a second and pick out any word you want on the page. Now that's certainly, don't say it, but of course.
All right, yep,
go
I have
ahead
a
and
word.
Pick it out.
Yep.
Now that's certainly about as fair as you can possibly be.
Yes.
And I say, okay, close up the dictionary.
Okay.
And then I hand you the pen, and I just say, okay, print your word right over there, and I turn away. Now as I turn away, I'm putting this dictionary in my pocket, okay? Or halfway in my pocket anyways. And then when you're done writing, I say,
Yes.
put the card face down.
All right.
And then I start talking to you for a minute.
Okay.
And I say, okay, well, you know, I was kind of watching you, and I think you probably put your card somewhere around the middle, something like that.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me just show you from my point of view.
Yes.
See, the fact is that I have a big old hole cut out of this dictionary right through the entire dictionary. About the only thing that's intact is the cover and 1 or 2 pages. So that anything written on a card, if we slide it down like this, there it is.
Yeah.
You can see the whole word.
Yes.
Now, I could actually force the issue to confine it. The part of the O was cut off. If I had done this, if I had said something like, okay, you know what, put your word right there on top of the line.
Okay, yeah.
I could have forced you to not start as close to the edge as possible, although I had no trouble figuring
Right.
out it was oblique. But now in this case, if I did that, as you see, the same situation, now
Right, there
right
it is.
there.
Yeah.
And you know, this seems so obvious to me when I read it in the book, and I've been doing it for everyone, and fooling everybody with it.
Now you should probably talk about the main pivotal thing here, which is the switch of the dictionary.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me go back. Now this one's in my pocket, and I keep it with the window toward me so that it
All right,
won't
that's the one with the
flash.
hole.
Right. So now I ask you, and this is my own routining here. Well, I mean from the book too, but slide it anywhere you want, open the dictionary to that page, and pick a word out from that page. Now that's certainly fair. So now the card is laying here. So when you're done, I say close it up, and here put your word on the card.
right, so they're
now,
writing
now
the
your
word.
attention is there. So that's when I turn away, and it's almost like a casual movement where I'm going to put this in my pocket and change my mind. But I really do drop it in my pocket and come out with the other one. So
Okay.
now I'm like this. So now I turn back, and you turn this face down.
Right, okay,
And
yeah.
that's when I say, you know, okay, now I wasn't watching. It seemed to me you put your cards somewhere, I don't know, somewhere around there, right?
Yes, that.
And I'm looking right at it. It's just so, and it gets by every time. And then I just
Sure.
say, okay. But even if I knew exactly where, you had the whole page to choose from.
Right.
So just think of the word right now. And you know, I don't even bother necessarily trying to hide this, or sometimes I'll casually just put it aside.
Sure.
And it's does the word, is it more toward after the M and the N?
Yes.
So the latter part of it's an O word. It starts with O.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm getting a word that's kind of, you know, not a common word. Oblique. Is that your word, oblique?
It is.
You see,
It
and
is.
then boom.
And it should be pointed out too that, again, the orientation of the business card helps quite a bit
Yes,
too. That
exactly.
you had the X, which confines the writing here, but keeping it at the same orientation so that you know that when you put the business card in, that the word isn't going to be upside down.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because I'm here like this, and when I take a card back, I know it's going to be right side up right there.
I mean, it still can be read if it's upside down,
Yeah,
but why?
Yeah, why even fuss with it? But
Right.
I mean, okay, I could have done this, I guess. I could have said, okay, put it in. No, you could have put that in anywhere you want. I mean, you know, you have those kind of options, but obviously put it in right side and just show it and then take it right back out. And yeah,
great effect.
It's been fooling everybody. It didn't even fool Lisa. And when I can fool my wife, then I know it's good.
It's a great trick.
Thank you. So that third one, you just thought about it. And I didn't even hold your hand, you see? You're the card player here. Shuffle them again. Then, when you're all done shuffling the cards and you're satisfied they're mixed up, give them one last cut. And then hand, in such a way that I can't possibly see, hand Carol 3 cards from anywhere you want in the deck. Okay? Now, I'll take the rest. Now, Carol, I want you, I'm looking away from you, I can't see anything. Look at your cards. Look at your cards. And what I want you to do is to think of any one of those 3 cards. You can look, you're welcome to look at all 3, but just decide on one. One card will be your card, the other 2 you don't care about, but you can look at all 3 before you make that decision. Do you have one in your mind?
Yes.
Okay, now close the cards up and mix them so that you don't even know which of the 3 cards is your card. Have you done that?
Yes.
Okay, now look, just put your cards back in, okay? Was that fair? I mean, who could possibly know, right? What any cards are, and look, they're all mixed up. Okay, I'm gonna try to find your card behind my back, okay? I think, could be anywhere, but she's only thinking. Is that your card?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Now, this is another card piece of Anneman's, a card to be thought about is what it was titled. And I really like it because it's a very strong effect, yet it's completely impromptu. And it goes, again, beyond the realm of just an ordinary you pick a card and I find it kind of trick.
Yes, but I changed this one a lot from the book.
Okay.
I did not like the way Anneman. Okay, here's how it works in the book. Somebody picks 3 cards from anywhere. Okay, they think of one, and you control them. So let's say you take them back all 3, or they after they look at the cards and think of one, they mix them up so they don't even know where
All
yours is. And then, however, maybe they put their cards back and you do a pass or whatever.
Double undercut or
yeah, or
whatever.
whatever it takes. So now you got them on top, and so what you're supposed to do is put them behind your back. You take one card and you put it in your pocket. A second card you put on the bottom. Now you set this top card, one of the 3, 10th from the top.
Okay.
Then you set the one on the bottom, 10th from the bottom.
Okay.
Okay? And then you take an indifferent card and throw it out there. And then you say to the person, is that your card? And they look at it, of course it's not.
Right.
And you say, okay, well, I need you to look at it again. So just, I'm spread of cards, and you tell me, you know, after a few, whether, did you see it? And if you say yes.
So if they say yes, you
I
know it's the 10th card.
And if they say no, I keep going. And if they say no a second time,
No.
then it's got to be the card in my
One in your
pocket.
pocket.
That seemed like a really roundabout way. And so I said,
Pretty,
well,
and plus, by the time you get to the 3rd card, it seems like really an afterthought. You know, you're wrong then
Twice,
three
yeah.
times because the indifferent card on the table makes it possibly you're wrong 3 times.
Right.
Is your card here? No. Is it near the top? No, it's not near the bottom. Oh, it's the one in my pocket.
Yeah.
By then, it really has diluted the effect, it seems.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I said, how can I tighten this up? Because I want to do it, you know, and it seemed like a natural to fall after the other effect. So same thing, procedure. I had 3 cards, and they think of any one of the 3, and put them back in controlled, and I control them to the bottom. Okay, so now I don't have any idea which card they thought of. They thought of one of these 3. They don't know which of the, you know, the order or anything like that. So as I take them back and put them behind my back, I look at the bottom card.
All right.
Okay, and I see the 5 of spades, and all I do behind my back is I slide 2 cards off, and I put them in my back pocket.
Okay.
This way, so that the back of the cards are out, and then, so now they're in my back pocket, and I take the 3rd card and throw it out like that. And I say, is that your
So
card?
you could get a hit right away.
I did yesterday.
Yeah, you did.
She said,
Yep.
you name your card, turn it over. Boom, that was it.
That was it.
But suppose she didn't, that was not it. Okay, I say, well, that's not it. Well, I'll tell you what, let's look through the card deck and take your card out when you see it.
I don't see it.
And then you don't see it. Why? What was your card?
Right.
And now if they say the 5 of spades, I know it's the card that I saw, the 5 of spades,
And
right?
if they say anything else, it's the
it's
other
the
card.
other card,
Right,
yeah.
sure.
So you see how the whole thing, you know.
Well, it's much more streamlined. It seems
Yeah.
like it's much shorter space between point A and point B here.
Right, without having to count behind your back. You ever try to set a card 10 from the top and 10 from the bottom?
Behind your back.
Yeah.
And plus, what is the audience supposed to be doing while you're
yeah.
doing that? you
Whereas
know?
this, you spot the bottom card, you take 2 off, put them in your back pocket, and come back out with another card. You can do that like that.
Yeah.
And be ready to go. So, and to me, you get just as much, you get more of an effect. Just my thoughts, you know. I'll probably get a whole bunch of emails saying, Richard, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, the way he wrote it up was better. I don't know. But that's my thoughts on it.
And please don't send him email because then he weeps.
And I've never met any of you people before, just today, correct? And we're going to try a little test, okay? And let's see, let's make sure I got all the names right. We got Lucy, and we have Jessica, and Ingrid, and Santiago. Okay. I've got, these are like old-fashioned slates, okay? And what I'm going to do is we'll call this number 1, just number like that, okay? And this one over here will be number 2, okay? And this one over here we'll call number 3, you see? And then this one over here will be number 4, okay? So now let me just set these down just like this. Now, Santiago, the only thing I said to you before we started was, is there someone maybe who died, who passed away in your family? And you said, yeah, you know somebody like that? I'm sorry?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather, you were close to him? Okay, well, put his name on that paper. Just write his name. His first name would be good. What was his first name?
Julio.
Julio, okay. Okay. Now, we didn't set this up ahead of time, so this is the first time that he's telling me the name, okay? And Not, okay, Julio, not to disrespect your grandfather, but let me just rip his name up a little bit, okay? And I'm going to rip his name up again. How many years was it that he passed away?
2 years ago.
Okay, okay, and you were close to him. Yeah, I was very close to my grandparents too. I know how you feel. Okay, and yeah, let me just bend over these pieces like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pieces in between, okay? Like that, the pieces of his name. Now, a lot of people believe, you know, that maybe you can talk to people who you were close to, you know, and you hope to see them again someday in the future when you know, after you pass on yourself. I don't claim any of that. This is just an effect that I want to show you, okay? So, if I can take your hand, would you all join hands?
Okay.
Yeah, just like this. And let's just think of Julio just for a second, okay? And it's okay, I don't know if anything happened here. Let me just check, because let's just see if. Do you see what that says?
Wow.
It says, "Hi, Santiago. I'm fine. I fixed my name. Back in one piece." That's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Now, this effect is the creation of Animan himself, and it was called A Torn Letter. Now, you've adapted this to more modern working conditions than what the original write-up was about, so let's talk about it.
Yeah, and you know, I always feel funny when doing this because it's like, you know, if you change Animan, especially Animan's work, it's like, oh, how dare you? You know,
Right,
well,
it's
I'll tell you the
scripture.
reasons. Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you the reason why as I go along. If you don't agree with me, you know, you have the book, you can do it the original way, you know?
Sure.
But okay, first of all, let's talk about the slates. And I have to show you something. Again, these probably, if you're looking at this right now, you're probably thinking, oh, the same slates you used in the first 3 videos or DVDs. But no, they're not. I found these in Walmart just recently.
Much lighter.
They're just like the originals, except it's plastic
Okay.
instead of slate. Now, I like real slate better, but last time I brought 5 of them with me. I got home, I only had 2 that weren't broken.
Right.
The plain,
By the time they got through TSA and
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
and they weren't even, they were in my checked baggage, all wrapped up in towels and everything. And still, I recently, I was telling you this yesterday, did a show for a person who inspects baggage systems, and he was telling me in some airports you can't believe they got pistons that hit these things like that.
but slate is very brittle.
Yeah, you could drop it on the floor and it would break. Whereas
Right.
this works well. The chalk, it takes a good chalk impression, and
But you prepared these, right? Is this? No, you didn't use blackboard paint on this. This is right out
that's
of the.
a different one. This
All right.
one, this is right out of the store, right out
Okay.
of Walmart. So they were not $2, $3 a piece, something like that.
But they work fine.
Now, the first part of it, the writing appears because of the old rules of how you show the slates and you keep one side concealed. And I'll explain that in a second. But the
Right.
writing appears on what should be slate 1. So the first thing you need to do is put a 1 up in the corner.
Okay.
Now, in this case, and I've tried to follow it by the book, I want to have a message that seemed personal. So when we have everyone sitting here, I knew ahead of time that the guy sitting over here, his name was Santiago.
It was, yes.
And it was him that I was going to ask about, because I want to follow the theme in the book, which is we're going to contact the other world, you know, which is kind of fun, you know. I meant it to be fun, but they were taking it a bit seriously, which is, you know, that's okay with me. You know, people who get all bent out of shape about, you know, dramatics, you know, I know I've mentioned this before, but I said, do you think that when Stephen King writes a book, he's worried about scaring you too much?
Right,
You know,
right.
this is a show. This is a show. It's theatric. You want to make it dramatic. Anyway, I wrote a message, and since I knew his name, I wrote, "Hi, Santiago," and I try to, you know, do it kind of sloppy so that it looked almost like spirit writing or what have you. And then I wrote, "I am fine." And then how about fixed my name? and then I did something like this. It was something like that. It could be, you could make it more squiggly to make it look like spirit writing or whatever. But anyways, there's the message, and the other slate is blank, and this goes like that. So that's the starting position.
All right.
So you can handle these things if you know which is the top for
So
sure.
number one is underneath the top slate.
Right.
Okay.
There's like this. That's it. So, I mean, it's nice because you can come out with them and you can, handle them without.
You can flash both sides of the pair.
That almost
with-
looks like, you're showing both sides right there, if you so desire. Okay, so anyways, now I'm going to get, well, let me complete the slate part and then I'll talk about the second part. So, what you do, and I'm going to have to just stand a bit here so I can.
All right.
I did this in the performance too, and normally I would be standing when I would do something like this. So again, you can show the slates, something like that. Say, okay, look, we're going to number this one number 1. So you write the one sort of just like the other. And this, oh, I'm sorry, I just made a mistake. Let me back up. But that's good because by showing you the mistake I made, chances are you'll never make the same mistake if you're learning this from this video because you'll remember that. You separate them like this, and when you put them back together again,
Okay.
you put the message, so the message is now on the bottom. That's important. Okay, so now you write a 1 in the corner, and what happens is you just rotate. The audience is here, they can't see the bottom, of course, and you rotate these slates around like this, and this goes on the bottom. So that's where we're at now. Then you write a 2 on the slate. And you're holding them so they can see all this as you're doing it. And you rotate it, but as you rotate it, you got to do this.
All right.
Because the message is not going to come into view on your side, so you make sure they can't see that. So after you write the 2, you put the slate down and just do this. See?
All right.
And from their side, they can't see anything. You bring it back down. You write a 3 like this openly. You bring it back up again. I'm going to turn this way so the cameras can see what it looks like from my angle, because you're going to go like this. Okay, but from the audience angle, you write a 3 and you bring it up and you do this because you don't want to flash the message. And you also don't want them to see the 1. So you write the 3, you bring it up like this, they can see the 3 and the slate's going together. And then before you lower it again, and turn around so the camera can see, you've got the 1 facing you, you pretend to draw the 1 and you turn that into a 4 and then bring it down. So the audience sees you do this, and there it is. And now you've got the message is there, and again you could show it, okay, I've numbered the slates, you can actually do that. You can just say, okay, so we numbered the slates, and it looks like they've seen all 4 sides of the slate. So now it's ready to go with the message.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where I made a big change from the book. Anneman really liked pocket indexes. If you read through all the different effects, he's got, I actually had a set that I made up years ago for billets, but I never liked personally pocket indexes a whole lot. I don't mind them for a few things, but 26 items here, 20, and in this case, it really seemed like overkill to me because the effect in the book is you have 26 pieces of paper
Yep.
with a different letter on each paper. And so what happens is the person thinks of somebody who's passed on, chooses the paper with the letter that's the first letter of their name, you tear it up, but in the meantime, you get into your pocket to the index and take a duplicate of that letter, bring it out. After you've torn up the pieces, switch the pieces for the whole one and put that back inside. So at the end, not only does the message appear, but the letter's back in one piece.
Okay.
And then you replace the two letters. Like if it was B, you have to make a new B and put one in the index and one back out for the open one. That seems like a lot of work
Yeah.
for a letter. Then I thought to myself, I've always liked the torn and restored paper with the name on it. I've demonstrated that on my Mind Mysteries videos. I said, that would be perfect here. Look, and not only is it easier, but look what you achieve. Instead of simply having a letter that gets put back together, you have a name.
Yeah.
The actual name of the person. Not only that, but he writes it. So at the end, he can take it back and it's put back together and it's his handwriting.
Right.
So let's say, just for instance, let's say somebody had chosen the name Leonard, their Uncle Leonard. And let's say they had written it down like this, okay, Leonard. And then after they'd done that, I take it back and I just get 2 sheets.
All right.
Now, I'm going to go through the moves real quick. really explained well in The Magic Book by Harry Lorraine.
Okay.
And I did it on one of my other DVDs as an effect in itself, but here is kind of going to be a hidden restoration. And all that happens is you take 2 sheets. So, and I usually get ready for this before I even start the effect. I take 2 sheets and I kind of bend them up a little bit so I don't even have to worry about getting a break later.
Okay.
You know, nobody notices that. You know, it's a pad. So they write the name, and I take it back, and I can get that to 2 sheets instantly, and I tear them off. And so now I got 2 sheets, but because they're still glued on the top, they stick together pretty well. And you step back, and I'm talking to them. They're not, you know, so I've taken the paper off, and I fold it in half, like this, as I'm talking. And when I unfold it, I'm only unfolding the back sheet. Here's the sheet with the name, and I rip that in half. Put it together like this. I'm still talking. Do that. Open it up. I just popped off the glue part. Here's the whole sheet, right there. And here's the duplicate sheet, and that's getting torn.
Right.
In the audience, they can only see that. And then one more fold and tear, like this. And I'm not going to go over this any more than what I'm showing you now because you can always rewind if you want to see the exact moves.
Right.
And so,
And the pieces always go to the front.
always to the front.
Right.
And you always just turn it 1/2 turn as you do each tear. Just always have the double folded side on top, and then you can't go wrong. So here we go now. We got pieces, and we got the original name. And the way I finish it up is I sometimes would just bend over everything and then just rebend the pieces like this. So now we've got all the pieces in one folded in half clump, and the restored name is over here. And because it's so small, you can't even tell it's not just pieces. And then all I did, they're simple again, is I just drew back the pieces in my hand, kept keeping the other paper, and said, okay, let's put these pieces between the slates. And then I pick up the pad and put it away in my pocket and ditch the pieces.
Dump
at the same
everything.
time. So now we're got nothing but the slates in here.
Right.
And so all the rest is built up. I thought the idea of having everybody hold hands was kind of cool. You know,
Well, it's
so
kind
we're
of
gonna-
seance-like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when they open it up, there's the message. And by the way, just for the record, and I did this yesterday, when you put the slates down, I reverse them so that when they open the slates, the message becomes right side up.
Right, it orients the writing so they can read it, so it's
Yeah.
not upside down.
Yeah,
to
the
them.
writing's going to be the same way as the number, so all you have to do is remember which
Sure.
way the number goes, that's the way you want it visible for them. And of course, you know, first thing is like, well, look at this message, you know, it's crazy. Leonard is contacting Santiago, you know? And then, and of course, everything makes sense. It looks like there's number 1, first like you know, and everything over here works, 2, 4, and 3. So everything can be examined. And then usually what happens is after that, they notice, I fixed my name, what does that mean? And then they pick up the paper and open it up. And I let them do this, and look at, there's the name in his own handwriting. And you are totally clean.
Yep.
Everything can be examined. People sometimes will do that and say, yeah, it's real chalk, you know?
Now I noticed that sometimes in spirit slate routines, you leave a piece of chalk there for the spirit to use.
I
You-
thought
you-
about doing that. You can, you know?
Yeah, okay.
I didn't bother with it this time, you know? I didn't do that with either routine. I actually thought of that because last time, remember, we did an effect where I made the chalk like vanish and then the writing appeared almost. You can do anything like that.
Sure.
In this case, you know, I thought, you know, I'm not going to bother with that, you know?
Okay.
I'm just going to have the writing appear and let them, you know, wonder. I mean, technically, this writing could even be with a colored chalk. That could be green or something.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, well, he had white chalk. How could green writing appear?
Yeah.
You know, so that's another way you could do it, you know. And again, I encourage that. I mean, I think anyone, Tarbell Anneman would have encouraged the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if something appeals to you, if you get a great idea that you think will make it better, do it. You know,
Sure.
that's why I wasn't afraid to change some of this stuff. You know, I think this makes a better effect, makes it easier, a lot less trouble than an index. So, in that case, I'm going to do it.
That's great.
Okay, I have I'm going to have a deck of cards here. Let me just spread them out. You can look them over. Just a deck of cards, all different, and we're gonna be trying something with with muscle reactions and then mental reactions, if you will. Okay. Let me just mix these up a little bit. And do you play cards at all? Okay, good. just let me do this and take the cards, Jameson, give them a cut like that. Nothing fancy, just give them a cut. Okay? Now hold the cards sort of under the table where I can't see them and give them a cut again. Okay? Why don't you take the top card and hand it to her? Don't look at it yet, okay? Under the table. Take the next one for yourself. And then take one more and hand it to Diego over there. Okay, now all three of you have a card, okay? Now all three of you look at your cards, okay? Give me the rest of the deck, we'll get it out of the way for now. Look at your cards. Do you have them memorized? Okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna put the cards, your cards back in the deck anywhere you want. I'll turn my back when you do that. Go ahead. Each one of you put your cards anywhere you want in the deck. Okay? Now, somebody mix them up. You mix them up if you want. So the cards are out of my hands. You all got a card. That was Jameson took cards out and handed them to you. You put them back wherever you wanted to, and the cards are all shuffled up. I don't even want to touch the cards, so you spread them out on the table when you're all done shuffling them up. Okay? Face up. I'm sorry. Turn them over. Face up. Okay. Now, just make sure I can see all the cards. So spread them like just enough so that all the cards are visible. Okay, like this. Can I hold your hand just for a second? Is that okay, Carol? Just think of your card. Just think of your card. That's your card, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is that your
that's my
card?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got your card in your mind?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Think. Are you thinking, I can't see my card? Is that what you're thinking? That you can't see your card?
Oh, look,
Because
yeah, I see it.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, think of it. Think of it. That's your card.
Yes.
That's your card. I'm not going to even touch your hand like that. I'm going to try to just, in your mind, think of what your card is. Okay, now what this is, let's see. I asked him to just think of what his card is, and he's thinking something like, in his mind, like, you should know that I was just looking at my card, that it was right there in front of me, and I was looking down. That's what you're actually thinking in your mind. You're thinking my card was actually sort of pulled out from the rest of the cards and was kind of sitting there all by itself out in the open. Is that what you're thinking right now? Yes. And the card was the Ace of Clubs?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I just wanted him to think of the card, but he was thinking all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's try one more thing along those lines, okay?
Now this is a creation of Animans, and basically it's a simple card location, but it's dressed up. It's called Mind or Muscle.
Yeah, and I changed this one too.
Okay.
Because the way it works, okay, I mean, run through the routine as presented in the book. You have a stacked deck. I decided I'm using my breakthrough card system stack for this.
All right.
Because the deck is under people's eyes, they're scrutinized quite a bit. So that's why I wanted a stack that, you know, you can look at, you can't see.
Right. This is one of the circumstances where, when people sometimes defend the Cy Stebbins stack, they say, well, nobody really looks at them for any amount of time. But in this particular case, somebody would be pretty apt, or possibly it would be apparent the red-black alternating.
Right. And even if the deck is given a quick shuffle, that still tends to pop up there. In this routine, that they are given a shuffle, but here's I'll tell you, but you're right, because you would want to show them ahead of time anyways, and if the person is not a good shuffler, and only, you know, some people, they take some off and they kind of push them in and
right.
that kind of thing, because the audience is going to shuffle. Again, you would spot that immediately. You know, with a stack like the Breakthrough, there's no worry from beginning to end.
Right.
Any of that happening. In the book, the deck is stacked. A person takes a card, you cut where they take the card from, and then a second person takes a card, and you drop the card above where they take the card from as you close it up. Pick it up, put it back on top of the deck. Now you got a key card on the bottom and a key card on the top.
Right, okay.
And then there's another move in there where you switch the deck while it's in your pocket for a one-way deck.
Okay.
So you can have the person reach in and take any card out they want. See, okay, in the book, there's 2 selections made from a stacked deck, and then you explain how for the third person, he's going to put the deck in his pocket, take any card out and put it in a different pocket. And while you're demonstrating that, you come back out with a one-way or a one-of-a-kind deck. Okay. So he puts his one-of-a-kind deck in his pocket, so there's only one card he could get.
All right.
And that's how the routine ends. I didn't like that. So I just got rid of that last part, and I just
Okay.
made it a 3-phase thing, and I concentrated more on shapes in the presentation. So basically, all I said, again, I fall shuffle the deck, and then hand it to somebody and say, okay, cut the cards. And what I made important, and this is my way of supplying misdirection when I do this kind of thing, I say, okay, take the deck down where I can't see it, kind of below the table.
Okay.
And keep one yourself and hand him one under the table. That's kind of the way I did it.
Okay.
So I made a big deal out of I can't see the cards. So if I can't see them, they're all fair.
Right.
Of course, that's got nothing to do with it. What I need you to do is give 3 people
Okay.
cards. Yeah, you can take all 3 out.
Okay.
Right off the top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
just,
so-
well, you'd keep one.
Okay.
And give someone to the second person and one to a third person.
Okay.
And I take the deck back and I say, okay, everybody peek at their cards so you know what they are, and that's when I get my glimpse.
Okay.
At the bottom card. But then at that point, I had everybody put their cards back in wherever they wanted.
Okay.
I made a big deal out of that. So 3 people have taken cards, and you put them back in and then shuffle.
All right.
So the big deal here that I made was, look, I haven't touched the cards.
Do you want me to
and
shuffle?
Yeah, you can go ahead and shuffle them. And so, but I know what the 3 cards are from the 3 of diamonds. On the bottom, it has coded me. That your card was the 10 of spades.
Right.
Second card was the 8 of diamonds. And the third card was
7
of clubs.
Glove clubs,
Yeah,
yeah.
so those are the 3 cards. I know it already. So after the cards are all mixed up, it's a done deal. I just spread them out like that. So again, going back to if there's your 3 wound up on the bottom. But it's like what I did with the first person. I said, just give me your hand.
Okay.
And just think of what the card is, and just I went like, that's your card, right?
Yeah.
And then the second person, if you recall, I did the same thing. I took
Yep,
your hand
same
and I
thing.
said, and then I said, there it is right there. Now, then for the third person, it just turned out that their card, the 7 of clubs, in this case, I would have the 3 people put the cards back in different places.
Different places
and
in the
shuffle, so
deck,
they'd be
yeah.
all over. But in this case, yesterday, what happened was their card was like this.
Oh, okay.
It just happened to fall that way. So I used that. I said, okay, pick up the cards and mix them up, shuffle them up good. And he did. And I said, you know what? I'm getting more than just a name of a card from you. I'm getting the fact that you're thinking, well, my card was right out in the open. It was like sitting there right in the middle of all the rest of the cards. It was away from them, right out in the open. And he's, yeah, I was thinking that, and was your card the 7 of clubs? Yeah, and I named it. I didn't even take it out. I just named it. So it just happened that way, so you go with it, You can,
And that turns it into something more than a card trick.
right.
It becomes more of a piece of mentalism or mind reading.
Yeah, so the whole premise of the effects is that just by making contact with somebody, you can almost be mentally guided, like a Fawkes mind reading, muscle reading thing,
Right,
but you're
right.
not really doing it. But that's the premise of the first 2. But the third one, you don't even
Right.
do that.
Right.
Now it's telepathy if you're analyzing what the separate effects are. So if you do your job real good and the people think, wow, he can just know from sensing their movements or whatever, if they think that's where you're going, when you get to the third person, you don't even do that, so there's no explanation. So I think, eliminating that extra switching in a one-way deck and all the other stuff, I think it's more than made up for with the method, And I never had, I know you could have separate people pick cards and then you have to have breaks and so you have 3 separate key cards, but I've never had a problem with just giving the deck to somebody and say, cut them a couple times, okay, take the top card off for you and give them the next card, give them the next card. Now you only got 1 key card to work with, you can't go wrong, and I've never had that seem to lessen the effect.
See now, pardon me, with the size Stebbins pattern,
Right.
see that would be a problem though, and I can see why Anneman went the way he did, because if somebody gets the three of clubs, the next person is going to have the 6 of hearts,
Yep.
and the next person is going to have, you know, the 9 of
of
spades.
spades,
So
yep.
it's just going to be 3, 6, 9, and then now the mathematical progression is going to be apparent.
Right.
With the breakthrough card system, that's not, again, it's not an issue.
Right. Okay, we're back, and this time we have Nadia, who I just met now. Nice to meet you, Nadia. And Jameson back here. And I asked Nadia, you're a beautiful young lady, by the way. I asked you if you had a smartphone with a calculator, and you do. And I also have a dice. This is casino dice. This came from Reno, actually. And would you roll it a few times just to make sure it's just a legitimate dice? It comes up different numbers every time. And while you guys are just waiting out here, I'm going to go out in the audience and have a pad. I'm going to ask folks in the audience to write down single-digit numbers. Not too big, because we're going to get like 5 or 6 across. So any single-digit number you want to write down, go ahead and if you write down something over here, and then why don't you write down 1, and let me come on over here. Would you write down either before or after? Okay, and then let me come back over here. Get a couple more. What do we got? 4. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put either before or after. And finally, would you write down 1? Okay. Now, we come back over here and hand you, can you read them all? Yeah. Hand you the numbers. What I'd like you to do is enter those numbers into your calculator. And while she's doing that, would you pick up the dice and tell me when, and you're going to roll it 1 time. Okay? Okay, you rolled a 3. Tell me when you've got the numbers entered into the calculator. Do you have that?
Oh, just as one big number, right?
Yeah, just as one big number.
Okay.
Okay, now multiply that number by 3, and I won't look. I'm turned away, so I won't know what that number
Okay.
is. Okay. Now, copy that down on the back.
May I borrow your pen?
Oh, I'm sorry, sure. Okay. So now you have that number. Now what I'm about to tell you is at first going to sound contrived, but if I can do this right, it's kind of amazing. So bear with me if you don't mind. I just picked up a flash from you. Maybe this is right, maybe it's wrong. I want you to draw a circle around one of those numbers, any digit you want. It's totally your, now remember, I don't know what the digits are in the first place. You folks wrote them down out there. She multiplied them by a freely random number on the dice. And now she's drawing a circle of her choice around any digit. Okay, the remaining digits, add up those digits and tell me the total. Like for instance, you know, if their digits were a 2 and a 7 and a 5, you would add the 2 and the 5 together and get 7, and another 7 would be 14. Whatever they all come up with, just do that with all the remaining numbers. And tell me the total of all of them.
26.
26, okay. Let me ask you a question. Concentrate now on the digit, and again, what would that tell me if I don't know any of the other stuff? You see what I'm saying? The digit that you circled, did you circle the digit 1?
Yeah.
Was that near the end of your number?
Yeah.
Was it at the very end?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when you look at the very first number, is it a 4?
Yeah.
Is the next number you're looking at after that 4, is that a 2?
Yes.
And the next 2 digits together, next to each other, isn't that an 8 and a 5? And I've named all the digits except the next to the last digit. Would you think of it right now? Thank you. You just thought of it too. It's number 7, right? And that's what you thought of too, wasn't it? I thought so. Thank you very much.
Dr. E.G. Irvin, not a well-known name in the annals of magic, but he created quite an interesting effect with this, which is called number thought.
Number thought, yes. And it's a mathematical little oddity that if you have this number, 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, if you multiply that number by 1, you come up with that same number. If you multiply it by 2, the result is 2, 8, 5, 7, 1, 4. You see? Same number, but just like that.
All right.
If you multiply it by 3, then the answer to that one is 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, 1. See, it's always the same digits. They just start at different places.
All right.
If you multiply it by 4, the answer starts here, 5, 7, 1, 4, 2, 8. Multiply it by 5, and it starts it with the 7. 7, 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, like that. And finally, the last one, if you multiply it by 6, starts with the 8. 8, 5, 7, 1, 4, 2. So no matter what you multiply it by, this is by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. No matter what you multiply the original number 1, 2, 4, 8, 5, 7 by, it's the same digits, just starting at different places.
Okay.
So that's the basis for the whole trick.
And that you memorize, you just know that it starts.
Yeah, you know, if you look in the Animan book, you'll see the situation, but you really don't even have to know. You don't even have to memorize which one starts where.
All right.
Although it's helpful if you do. The way it's very simple for me to do it like this. Obviously, if you have 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, let me start again here. 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7. If you multiply it by 1, obviously that's the number. If you multiply it by 2, it starts with the 2. Okay?
All right.
So that's where you get the 2, 8, 5, 7, 1, 4. Okay?
Right, okay.
Now, so 1 and 2, it's the same number as you're multiplying by. For 3 and 4, it's one higher.
Okay.
So like 3 starts with 4. So 3 becomes 4, 2, 8, 5, 7, 1. And 4 is one higher than 4, 5. So that's 5, 7, 1, 4, 2, 8. And then when it gets to
Okay.
5 and 6, it's 2 higher. So 5 starts with 7. So 7, 1, 4, 2, 8, 5. And 6 starts with 8. So you have 8, 5, 7, 1, 4, 2.
Yep.
If you play
Okay.
around with it just a little bit, this will become
Sure.
clear. And the interesting thing is, since there's 6 possibilities that it can start with, there's 6 faces of a dice. Okay? So, the rest is pretty basic. What you do is, I write down the original number, 1, 4, I'll make that better, 4, but that's okay if it's sloppy, 2, 8, 5, 7, like that.
Okay.
Because I go into the audience and I say, okay, write down a single digit to this person.
All right.
Go ahead, and I just hold on to the pad. I go to a second person. You write down a single digit before or after.
Okay.
And so, you know, and I do it again to a third
Okay.
person. And of course, that's
Before or
I'm doing-
after?
Yeah, before or after. And of course, if I were doing that, you're more even than it would be with different people writing. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
So,
Oh, you mean, it's all over the place. Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
So keep on doing until you got 6 digits.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've already set the thing up with the dice. I've had somebody roll in the dice to determine. So as I take back the pen and walk back to the stage, I make this very clever move where I turn the pad over.
Right.
So now I get back and I say, okay, here's the number that they formed. Just like
Right,
that.
and it seems pretty, yeah.
Right. Now, 2 ways you can do this. You can do it with a calculator, or you can do it with just doing it by, you know, by longhand here. But you have somebody throw the dice, it's 2. Let's
Right.
just say we didn't eliminate the calculator. So you have the person multiply this by 2. So that's 14 carry the 1, 10 and 1 is 11 carry the 1, 16 and 1 is 7 carry 1, that's 4 and that's 5, and that's 2 times 4 is 8, right?
Right.
Or-
And then, yeah, and then
or-
2 times 1 also.
Oh, the 1, yeah, I forgot. There we
just-
go.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
2, 8,
2.
5, 7, 1, 4.
Right.
Okay, so just like I said before, that's one of the numbers that, you know, it's the same 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7. But
Yeah, so it's, 2, 8, 5, 7, 1, 4. It's the original number shifted over that many places.
Right. Now, but of course, the moment that I see 2, I know what it's going to be already. So I can walk away and have them multiply. Now, there's another factor, and I kind of play this up like it's going to sort of be like a kind of trivial, boring mental math thing.
All right.
Because then I say, okay, put a circle around any digit. So let's say they choose 7. Now, just so you know, the total of all these digits, it's a 9 base number.
Okay.
But the total is 27. See, 2 and 8 is 10, and 5 is 15. That makes 22, 23, 27.
Right.
So the digits all add up to 27. So if I say put a circle around one of the numbers and add the other digits up and tell me the answer. Well, in this case, it's going to be 20. Obviously, 2 and 8 is 10, 15, and 20.
20. Yep.
So as soon as he says 20, I know that he circled the 7.
7.
But since I also know he rolled the 2, then I can follow it up with, you circled the 7. Wasn't that the 4th number in?
Yeah.
And yeah, isn't the first number, you see what I'm saying? At first it looks like this is going to be a big mathematical thing to arrive at the
But
number.
then you start coming up with things you couldn't possibly know.
Yeah, like the
even
first
if it
number.
was math-based.
Yeah, like isn't the first number 2? Oh, wait, the last number, wait, that's a 4, isn't it? And you were thinking of the number in front of it too, another 1, you see? And you see how it works.
Right.
So all of a sudden it goes from being a mathematical thing to, wait, the guy knows everything. And it's not mathematical because I switched the digits in the first place. If I hadn't, you can't backtrack, because if I didn't switch the digits, this would never work.
Right.
you know?
Sure.
And of course, even though I supposedly saw the digit, but even then, if I remember what I did yesterday, write your digits. I don't want to see what you've written. And then as I walk back, here, take the paper. I don't want to see what numbers they wrote. Take the pen, throw the dice, and multiply it by. So then it looks like I couldn't know anything.
Right, right.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Nice effect.
good.
And again, what do you need? I mean, technically, you don't even need a real dice. You say in your mind, throw a dice. Okay, what
Yeah,
number do you
sure.
see in your mind? Multiply it by that number,
And most of the time, though, just because of the stage weight issues, it would be helpful if someone just used the calculator on their smartphone or something. which
Yeah,
is-
that's what I did yesterday. Almost everyone has a smartphone with a calculator.
And that way, there's no room for human error either.
Exactly.
So, great.
Okay. Hello again. I brought you all. We have a fifth person, Monica, now joining us. I asked you all if you had some kind of object on you, some kind of personal object, but I didn't ask to see any. Okay, and I'm going to give each one of you an envelope. Would you, after you get the envelope, that's why. Okay, I'll turn my back in right here, and whatever object, put your object inside, and then seal it. Okay, I'll turn this way. So I can't see. I'll take my glasses off. That makes me blind anyways. And I'm looking at the wall. So put your object inside and seal them. Okay? And when they're all sealed up, maybe you could pass them all to one person who can mix them up so that nobody knows which is which. Have you done it? I don't want to see any. Mix them all up. Now, while you're doing this, let me explain to you. No, somebody collect all of them together. Give them all to Monica, or to Monica, and mix them up, Monica. Now, there are some people. You ever have people that they feel things, and it's not with the mind so much as with the hands, and they could sense things. Like, for instance, sometimes in movies you see somebody's missing, and they take their shoe or something, and then the psychic knows what happened to them. I'm going to try to do something like that with your items, okay? They're all mixed up? Okay, I'm just going to grab like one of them, anyone, this one, and just open it, see what's inside, okay? Let me just, what is this? Oh, okay. This is a bobby pin. I don't think this is yours. Okay. So that narrows the field down somewhat, okay? I suppose I could look at your hair, but any one of you could be wearing a bobby pin. My own daughter wears bobby pins. They're all over the place. Every time I vacuum, I'm picking one of these up. But I just, as I hold this, even though it's not really a real personal object, as I hold this, I get the feeling of a person who is vibrant, full of life, and a person who likes to live life a lot. And usually what comes through in a person like that, and you're all like that to some degree, but this person especially, and a great sense of humor, this person would only be a person who would like color, a person who always, whenever they dress up, they have to have some bright splash of color, because that's the type of person they are. Is this, Ingrid, your?
It's not for you.
Is it yours?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let me take another one here and see what's inside. Oh, well, thank you. Evidently, somebody liked my show, and so they give me a $5 bill here. Now, see, this is hard because this is not like a personal object. that somebody has had in their possession, like a ring or a watch or something like that. So I can't really go by that, because bills pass through people's hands all the time, and so it would be almost impossible to do it with my. So instead, I'll have to do this one a little differently. Would you all think and look at this and try not to give it away by your facial expression? Who gave it to me? But you can't lie. You're not a good liar. Here, that's yours, isn't it? I thought so. Okay. Okay. I got 3 left. 3 left. And let me see. Oh, okay. This is Adrenogrip. I don't know what that is. Some kind of pills. Some kind of pills. And again, pills like this come, it's not like a personal object, again, like a watch or a ring. So let me do it. This is a little different what I'm going to do this time, because the person who owns these has pushed out 2 of the pills, and they use their fingers like this, and that leaves not a fingerprint, but a sort of a psychic fingerprint, if you will. May I have your just. These are yours, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let me see what's in this one here. Okay, it's one of you too. A pencil, and this is like eraser. Okay. This pencil, if it does in fact belong to this person that had a lot, it's a nervous person at times. You can tell that just from looking. The person's chewing on the pencil like that, and maybe even a few teeth mark over here. I don't know. I know already it belongs to you. I can just sense that. It's not nervous so much though. I'll tell you the truth, Santiago. What I've sensed from you is you're a person who likes to do things right. You don't like to make mistakes, and it bothers you when you have to do something. You have to put everything you have into it, and if it's not perfect, you're not happy with yourself, and then that's why we have this kind of result. Now that's good and bad, of course. It's good that you are a perfectionist and you want to do things right, but you need not to be too hard on yourself if everything is not perfect. And you don't get it right the first time, you go back and get it right the second time, okay? And try not to chew your pencils so much, okay? But thank you very much. And we got one more now. This obviously belongs to you, Monica. Let's just see what she put in here. And just, okay, this is a bracelet. A hope bracelet, and this makes perfect sense, because even though I've not had a chance to talk to you so much, and you're a very attractive lady, and usually people who are very attractive like you are concerned about themselves a lot. They're always looking in the mirror, fixing themselves, but not Monica. Monica cares about other people. She's very, very. If you have Monica as your friend, you have a friend for life. She will do anything for you, and she cares about other people, and it bothers her if something bad happens, even if she don't know them, reads about them in the newspaper or something, it bothers her, because that's how much she cares about, and it's a wonderful quality. And that's why a person like you would be wearing this kind of bracelet, a hope bracelet. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now we come to one of the routines I think most people think of if they were to name the top effects or the most popular effects in the book, in Practical Mental Effects. This would certainly be mostly everybody's top 5, I think. That's pseudopsychometry.
Yes.
And there's certainly a lot of variations and different methods have come down the pike. You've even invented a method we actually market called the SOS bag,
right,
which is a way of doing kind of a self-contained way. But this is the original classic Animan version of the effect.
And I guess what's important to mention in the beginning of this routine is the goal of the routine is not so much to give back the right object to the right person, but to make it appear that you are getting information from this object, and that's how you know who it belongs to, and to give information about the person.
Right.
Now, if I remember yesterday when I did this routine, there were a couple people who put in objects that really weren't personal. So I went in other directions, like somebody had put in a $5 bill or something.
Right, yep.
And so I turned that into a telepathy.
Somebody had some
effect.
pills, something. And again,
yeah.
they weren't like personal objects. You were looking for things like a ring, or
Ring and
yeah.
watch, right? But I mean, we had just grabbed students walking by.
Sure.
And they weren't. So like with the bill, I just said, okay, I'm just going to hold this up. Everybody think whether it's yours or not, and turn it into a telepathy effect. With the pills, two of them had been pushed out with their thumbs, so I touched my thumb to that, and I went around touching everybody else's thumbs and making it appear that somehow I was feeling
Right.
the same vibration. But a number of them were just a normal way. I used the security type envelopes, not very expensive ones. I mean, I get them at Walmart, a whole box of them for a couple bucks. And I mark them just the way it shows in the book. The only difference is I mark them inside the flap. I'm going to have to show you this. Here's the envelope, and this is marked with a number 1 because they're in order from the top down. And I'm just going to spread it open so that the camera maybe can look in there and see right there where I've marked the number 1 on the inside under the flap. And as you can see, I let it go. That's covered up. And so, and this one will have a number 2 in there. The camera can pick this up. Right down there in the corner. And once again, I let it go, it's covered up. Nothing clever, you know, I thought about clever ways to, but the markings on these envelopes, you know, is concealed. And
Right.
people are more worried about putting their object inside, and so they just, you know, stick whatever they need
Right.
to go inside.
They're not going to.
Yeah, you'd have to bend it back and look on purpose to
Right.
try to find that number. So now, okay, so let's just put a couple objects. Here, I'll tell you what. Let's put a business card in one, and I'll put this elastic in another. Just seal it up. And I'll show you the way I handle this. Because, again, you know, if you read the book, you tear off the end, and that's when you see the number.
Right.
And that's what tells you what it is. However, I'd be afraid that I tear it and I tear it too much or something and rip part of the number
Tear
off.
the
and
number,
mess around.
yeah.
So what I do is when I get them, I just kind of, you know, pull them open like this. At least that's what I did yesterday. And, you know, I can even rip it open. And then when I reach in for the object, it's easy for me to spread it, and there's the number right there. You
Yep.
see? You can't miss it. So I reach in, and so I know this is the second person's object, and I would just toss the envelope aside and start talking to the person and giving them a reading. You know, same thing when I get to you. Now, as you mentioned, part of the problem is how do you end a routine like this? And the way I ended it yesterday was simply to just make sure I gave a real good reading for the last person. That's all. Because again, what is exciting to the people is not that, well, this is your watch or ring or whatever. And again, you can see
They're more interested in the personal information that they feel you're picking up from their object.
Exactly. They want to hear about themselves. You're a very generous person. You care about other people. You're a good friend to have. All great, you know, nice things you say about the person. That's what they want to hear. Makes them feel good, especially when everybody else is hearing it too. You know?
So the skill set is really, with this particular effect, is presentation. Cold reading skills would be invaluable for this sort of thing. It has the method is so simple that it actually demands that a much more elaborate frame, much more elaborate cover be put over that framework, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because you know, the idea that, okay, if you present it like a trick to figure out what object belongs to what person, it's not that complicated a method, you know. And
Right.
if somebody actually set out to determine that, it might not be inconceivable that they might come up with the actual method. But when the effect doesn't become giving back the object to the person, but all this other information, then how do you solve that one?
Right.
And it's like the same thing with good Q&A act. You know, with a real good Q&A act, with a person who really knows how to give the information to answer questions, then the thought of how did the person find out the question in the first place becomes no. Because it's almost like, even if he knew what the question was, how did he know the answers like
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
So that's where the skill, as you said, the skill lies. So anyways, that's pseudopsychometry.
Theodore Animan was one of the most enigmatic characters in the history of magic and mentalism, and also one of its most prolific. He was the creator of The Jinx, one of magic's most notable periodicals, and wrote a number of books on various facets of card magic and mentalism. After his death in 1942, at the age of 35, his best work was compiled in a book entitled Practical Mental Effects, published in 1944. But as celebrated as this book remains, are the effects still effective for modern audiences?
It was incredible. I'm completely blown away.
It was amazing. I had no idea how he guessed all 3 of the words I put on the paper. It was awesome.
It was awesome. It was like, wow, like how the hell do you do this?
All those things just absolutely blow your mind. You're like, you try to think about it, you try to figure it out, you think that you know, but really you don't know. He's the only one that knows.
I sat there in the audience, thinking like, he's not really going to guess any of this. And then he did. He did it. And that was probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Welcome to Practical Mental Effects.
Well, here we are again,
Part 2.
part 2, which is actually volumes 4, 5, and 6 of the 6-volume set. And you had a particular goal for these 3 versus what we set out to do in the first 3 volumes.
Yes, and a quick synopsis of what happened. We decided we were going to do practical mental effects, and we pretty much decided right off the beginning that it's going to be a 6-volume project, and we'd do it in 2 sets of 3. Well, when I sat down, and of course I have been using practical mental effects even longer than Corinda.
Right.
This was actually the first mentalism book I ever got, and so I've always been partial to the material in here and in the Jinx. I should point out, by the way, I don't know if we did last time or not, the Jinx has a lot of material in it that didn't make it into practical mental
Sure.
effect. And if you're a serious student, I certainly would recommend that you look into getting a copy of the Jinx, either electronic or the actual
Because all of
books.
the material in Practical Mental Effects is in the Jinx. This
Is
was
in
a
the Jinx,
distillation of it's like a Animan's Greatest Hits kind of.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and like 20-card memory, which Al Coran used to turn into a masterpiece, that never made it into practical mental effects. That's in the Jinx, and
Right.
items like that. But anyways, when I started going through and listing out all the different effects I wanted to do, it occurred to me that there were 2 types, basically. There was one type that you could pretty much lift right out of the book and do them as is, and they work fine in today's situation. Then there are others that I felt either needed to be changed because of things like you can't burn stuff anymore, like you used to be able to. Half the or a lot of the effects in there, somebody writes on the paper, you burn it. Well,
Right.
that's almost a given. You can't do